Siema, it's DukaDuke and welcome to Polish countryside. Wow, it's been a while since I recorded anything. I forgot how funny it is, you know, to speak to a camera. I haven't done it in a long time, or even probably longer than that. And yeah, like things in life, it's time to record stuff. I guess you're probably wondering, hey, where's the bike? Or let's say bikes. Well, I'm a biker without bikes. Yep. Things in life been happening, and as you know, sometimes it happens, they're not always pleasant. Yeah, I lost two of them. Well, what kind of a DukaDuke I am without Sir Duke? Well, Sir Duke been resting in pieces in my attic, you know. Time's been difficult, things been happening. After almost 13 years, you know, working, continuous work. Yeah, I'm out of the job now. Some might say, hey, jobless bum. Well, what can I do? Sometimes it happens that you just may have a thought or two that your mental health is a little bit more important than, you know, job itself. I know. You're gonna think like, hey, how are you gonna pay the bills and stuff? Well, that's the thing to figure out, isn't it? I've had way too many things happening in my life. Not all of them necessarily super happy, so here I am, back at home in Poland, in my hometown, exactly in a spot where I used to come in as a kid, you know, to do a little bit of fishing, and you know, one of those places when you're a kid and you think like, hey, that's a good spot. You start fishing, doing stuff, and you're just considering life like, who am I gonna be, what I'm gonna do, you know. And here we go, 20 something years later, I'm sitting in exactly the same spot, minus the bridge, because the bridge doesn't exist anymore. Which, by the way, reminds me of things like how time been passing, and over here is a little bit of a representation of what's going on. You know, a bridge to the past. It's not over here anymore. So it seemed like a good place to come over again and yeah, sum up all the things I've done in my life and things I haven't done in my life. And just had too many things going on. So yeah, flight tickets been cheap after COVID-19 and all that. Things are coming slowly back to, well, let's call it norm, almost. So came over here just to clear out my mind a little bit, spend some time with the nature, and yeah, think about life pretty much. And as I haven't recorded in a while, I just thought, hey, you might be a part of this. That's what the vloggers do, isn't it? They share their little ups and downs in life. For me, mostly been a little bit down the slope recent months, or I could even say recent 2 years at least. So yeah, there's been a lot going on. Talking about recent events like COVID, etc., it just made me think about, you know, about priorities in your life. And I've been working so many years with people, you know, serving people at a hospital. I mean, mainly in medical environment, in places like this, like hospitals, A&E, what's not. And then last 3 years when I've been working in a lab, clean room environment, you can call it like this. And I just came up to a conclusion that whatever I do, you know, except those times in film industry, on the film sets, I wasn't really happy, you know. I was living in that bubble like probably a lot of people. You know, day job, living from payday to payday, paying off bikes, repairs, doing stuff, and occasionally having a good time. And one morning I got up to work like I used to do, and I just thought that, wow, suddenly I'm 33, and I thought to myself, is this really it? You know, is it really what I like to do with my time? And I seriously started, you know, to having some doubts that is it really it? And the previous job I was doing, you know, mainly in the office, you know, with the computer, paperwork, blah blah, I had actually really a lot of time to think about myself, think about my life, and I just came to that conclusion that, well, yeah, I'm kind of unhappy. Well, maybe not unhappy, but I just didn't thought that I'm doing a work which has got really an impact on my life. I'm not really doing something that I enjoy doing, that I don't see myself, let's say, in the next 30 years, let's say when I retire, you know, I don't see myself like getting up in the morning, looking back at all I did and say like, yeah, that was worth it, that was really me. And after serious thought or two, I just thought, you know, that's not it. One thing is having a good time, you know, spending time with your bikes and doing stuff. It's just, it wasn't it. So here I am, back in my hometown, where I come from, back in a place where I used to do some fishing. Just thinking about life. And That's really important, you know, about all the people I have met, all these people that have been in my life, yeah, slowly gathering those bits and bobs, and just in general having a thought. So nice. Funny enough, I always found it that being close to nature, you know, made me feel like, I don't know, like I'm a part of it. Like, made me feel like really good whenever I was doing it. Not closed up in the office, in laboratory, in hospital, surrounded by people. No, I mean, it might appear a little bit funny because, you know, by the end of the day, you're thinking, hey, you're the guy from internet, you know, you like doing stuff, recording videos, and well, it's not like you're doing it by, you know, for yourself. You kind of are sharing those moments, whatever they are, ups and downs. And yeah, I just felt like maybe this time I want to do something for myself, like really for myself. Like I wanted to do a job that really describes me. Like I wanted to be good at something. Unfortunately, so far I couldn't really do it. Like even when I was a kid, and later on as a teenager, I signed myself, you know, to engineering school, electric engineering, which in the end it wasn't something like I really wanted to do. Like it was a sort of a suggestion from my father, because you know he was living all his life offshore, working on ships, and I'm not gonna say those guys who are working offshore, they're doing a great job, you know. I mean, it's really well paid. It can give you a lot of satisfaction, but you know, it's still not something that, I don't know, I wanted to do. So even though when I was a young guy, I thought at first like, hey, I was kind of like the nature. I know from time perspective it might be you know, it might appear a little bit funny and silly, of course, but you know, when you're 20 something, 21, yeah, it's not like you're making a really adult decisions. And I joined the army. I mean, I volunteered first for national service, which was at the time we were looking at 2006, 7. It was compulsory, but I still signed myself. And hey, I thought that this is going to be my way of life. This is what I'm going to be doing now. But after a year, it turns out that, well, it was quite a hot period. Afghanistan, Iraq, and somehow I didn't see myself, you know, going over there and getting a bullet for nothing. I mean, wow, there might be a lot of controversy around that subject, but I'm not a guy from United States. I'm not from UK, you know, just another guy from Poland. And at that time, it didn't appear to me that those peaceful missions, you know, patrols and all that, supporting other troops, that it was my thing. I just thought that, you know, Polish troops, they really shouldn't be there. And just clicked at one point, and I just thought, do I really want to be here? I mean, first when I signed myself up for basic training, and then later on to, you know, with cadet school, I just thought that, wow, it seems like a pretty good job, you know, decent, just in case something happens, let's say in your homeland, you're there to serve and protect. In that spirit, in that I kind of wanted to feel myself, you know, useful, to be useful for other people. But as soon as they told me, like, do education, knowledge of English language and everything else, they said, like, well, you're not going to be in territorial army, you're going to send you to Afghanistan. Yeah, and you're 21, thinking as soon as I'm gonna finish my cadet school, they're gonna send me over there. And even at the time, I already thought like, wow, I've already met a few people who've been on a few missions. You know, for some it was a good money, decent money, you know, even though that it wasn't decent as the guys earning in British Army or American Army, still was quite decent for let's say Polish standard. And I just didn't felt like this is something I want to risk for, you know. So I quit. And there was another of those moments that gave me a lot to think about. What I really want to do. I didn't have a plan, you know. I mean, rarely when you're 21, you have like perfect plan what you want to do. I mean, I always envy those guys who were born, let's say, as a kid. You know, they were playing with a fire truck or something. Like, hey, I want to be a fireman. Fair enough. And then they got educated. They did some courses. You know, they joined the forces. And here we go. They have firefighters, and they're happy with that. Well, in my case, it was a little bit more complicated. Because I never was like quite 100% sure what I want to do. So I moved out to UK. My brother was already there, so it was already a kind of a easier start when you have someone over there. But still, I stayed, you know, at my brother's for a month maybe. We're talking about 2008, yeah. And then, you know, I got a job. It wasn't really the most glorious jobs ever, but still it was a job. I was working at Grand Hotel. Just before that, you know, I was like 6 months at school, taking courses into like hotels and all that. I was like, okay, at least that's a good job in terms that you can move wherever you want. You know, you got hotels around the world, and usually people are going to hotels, having a good time. You know, you can enjoy other culture, other places, visit a little bit of world. And yeah, I came over there. I've seen it from the kitchen how it works. Surprise, surprise, it didn't turn out to be a greatest job in the world as well. You know, been treated as just another slave from Eastern Europe, a cheap labor. I just thought maybe I should try something else. Maybe it's not it. And this is again when I end up in that situation that let's try something else. Somehow I ended up in Brighton Hospital, working with people. And again, I felt that duty. I don't know if you can call it duty, but you know, I want to work with people. And I stayed there for 10 years. The pattern repeated itself, and it just turned out that again, it's being a part of cheap labor. I'm like, okay, maybe this is not it. But the payday was there every month. Working, you know, for National Trust. I got sloppy, just working and living from one payday to another. I thought, okay, I guess this is life. But deep inside, I knew that it's something more than just living from payday to payday. At one point, I got tired of the place because, you know, working at the hospital, mainly A&E, accident and emergency, you just see things that, wow, I don't really wish any young person to see stuff that I've seen for all these years, all the emotions going with it. I thought, wow, it's just getting, you know, I'm getting overwhelmed with that. Maybe let's just try something a bit more calm. And suddenly, boom, it hits me. I'm 30. Changing the job. Started working, you know, for a medical company. It was private, but still, that medical environment, working in the lab. Lives go by, and again you're working from payday to payday. You can't really see the fruit of your work. It's just one day going to work, sitting again by that desk. It just hit me that I can't even see the fruit of my work. And I'm that kind of a person that I really like to see the fruit of my work. And here I am, again making a decision. What's next? What I'm gonna do now? Things got a little bit more complicated because, you know, COVID-19 and all that. And here I am asking myself again that question, is it really it, what I want to do? Lives go by. Again, you're meeting a lot of people. Some of them are enriching your, let's say, experience. Some of the people are good. Some of them, not necessarily. And let's say, one of these people made me quit my job. Some would say, you know, like grab their head, like, what are you doing? Why are you leaving job during such desperate times like COVID-19? And as I said at the beginning of the video, your mental health is much, much more important than any paycheck and any job, no matter if you think it's good or not. And here I am, I quit my job. A few people really made it hard for me to make that job, you know. And as lives goes by, you meet, as I said, you meet a lot of people. Some of it they don't mind where you're from, what kind of an accent do you have, and some people do. Some people are born for the job, and they see a guy like you having doubts, or maybe even overthinking few things. They just thinking, okay, you're not fit for the job. In terms of, like, you know, especially bosses. I don't want you here. You know, I don't think you're a good part of the team. Doesn't matter that you come in to your workplace always on time, you do your bit. They just don't like you. They're looking you in the eye and I don't want you here, you don't fit here. So I quit the job, as I said. And other things came along as well. Relationships, all that, you know, after a time it all piles up. And one day, you sit down and you just think, is this really it? And the story repeats itself. And it did this time as well. Yeah, recently, as I said, had to get rid of my Duke. Had to sell it for parts. Because a few years ago when I had that bit, some of you, if you followed earlier, you might remember from my previous vlogs, I had some trouble with the engine. I swapped the engine. The guy who did the job turned out to be not really a decent person, sold me a faulty engine with a crack, oil was leaking. I applied some temporary fixes, you know. And yeah, as time goes by, it turns out that it's going to be more costly than I initially thought. And at that point, is it really worth to invest more in 20 years old bike, which my Ducati was? And at one point I just thought, wow, it's going to be expensive. I mean, it's always been expensive, but this time it's going to be really expensive. So yeah, decision has been made. Stripped bike, selling it for parts, which is a really shame. And by the time I was using my older bike, which, you know, it wasn't anything really fancy. You might remember that the Yamaha Virago. I restored it. I did all the electrics, you know, Googled through pretty much whole internet how to fix few things. I managed to do so, and yeah, last week I'm sitting in the morning applying for another job, scrolling the internet, and boom, that loud bang outside the house. I'm like, no, please, not to be the same. No, it cannot be the same. Not again. And I thought, oh, okay, at least if that would be my bike, the alarm would go off. So I would hear wee, 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 or anything. And I didn't didn't have it. So I was like, okay. And that was 2 minutes later. Knock, knock, knock. As that woman knocked at my door, Rosa opened the door. She's like calling me from downstairs, like, "Hey Bart, I think it's your bike." So for the 7th time in a history, in that place I've been living, for the 7th time somebody ruined my bike. And a little thing inside your soul just broke. And I thought, oh my god, again, dealing with insurance companies and all that. I'm like, no, I don't want to do it all again. But unfortunately, that was the reality. And this is what happened again. I just barely managed to, to finish that bike, to restore it. And yeah, I was screwed again. At that point, I had enough of everything. I just looked up some cheap flights and came over here in this very, very spot when I used to sit as a kid and think like, what's the future is gonna be like? What's the future is holding for me? Here I am again, thinking about my life and what I'm gonna do. Damn. Then again, coming back to this spot, again rethinking all the decisions, everything, what I did and what I haven't done, and it comes up to my mind again. Maybe I should do some kind of a work that it involves nature, and I really can see the fruit of my work. Then out of nowhere, it just struck me like, I know it might look kind of a funny. Well, I just thought about farming. I know. A guy who used to work all those years at a hospital dealing with people, kind of a fast-paced life, then film industry. Even though that, I cannot really call myself an actor. I never really had a speaking role. I had my fun time, let's say, on a film set. Had my time with all the Hollywood actors, all those big companies, and I thought like, wow, I had a good time, but I really couldn't make it as a steady income, something that can support me. And again, it's kind of a job that you're really you're depending on production company, on the moods and people. And I thought like farming, having a bit of land, working on your own, kind of it appeared like a good solution. So yeah, I signed myself for a college, the horticulture. There we go, field in the background. And I guess I'm gonna try it. Maybe with years, finding a job, because obviously I'm not gonna be able to afford to buy a piece of land, at least not now, not in the next few years. But mainly working on your own, or if you do work with people, it's a small team. You see the fruit of your work, and I just thought maybe I'm gonna try this. See what happens. So to come to that conclusion, yeah, I had a few days off, coming in here in this peaceful bit with nature, listening to a river flowing. Yeah, here I am again, thinking what I'm gonna do next. I know it might not appear like part of typical motorcycle vlogging, as I said, especially after I lost 2 of my bikes. But hey, this is life, isn't it? You know, this YouTube channel always been kind of my hobby. I always like the idea that, you know, people are recording their daily life, daily struggles, sharing that with, you know, with the world. Because it's not always that you can, you know, speak so open. That's the funny thing. You're gonna always speak so openly with your friends or family about your plans. They kind of get disappointed, you know, after years, like, oh wow, but, you know, you're 30 something and you still didn't find it what it is. It just makes you feel like, oh wow, sorry that I disappointed you peeps again. Yeah, but in the end, it's my life, and I really want to find something that I am happy with, not that other people are happy with. I just came to that conclusion that whatever I do, oh, by the end of the day, I'm doing it for myself, isn't it? If I want to feel myself, you know, make myself feel good about work I do, I think this is going to be it. Yeah. For you lot who are following me for some time, even though that I definitely noticed decrease of subscribers and all that. I mean, yeah, I'm not surprised. I haven't been recording things, I mean videos lately. As I said, there's been a lot going on. So yeah, sorry for disappointing you guys as well. And you know, you're expecting some kind of a crazy motovlogging videos, travels, etc. But it's not like you always got the time or the money for recording all those crazy adventures. Sometimes life is taking over, and you just have to deal with all this. And this is what I've been dealing with at least last couple of years, and a lot more. There's a lot more, especially in family circles, but it's not something I really want to dispute online, you know. So a lot of families, they have their ups and downs, things been going on, and yeah, maybe I'm not just quite ready to say about it, or maybe I'm never going to be ready, you know, to be speaking about those things. Each family got their own tragedies, tough times. Yeah, maybe one day. At the moment, this is what it is. Just thought that I'm gonna record a little video because I haven't done it in a long time, and I even forgot how to do it. So yeah, I'm hoping you're not super disappointed. Because, you know, the channel at first appeared there's gonna be a lot of, you know, motor vlogging, adventures, travels, or even, you know, video games and stuff like this, because, you know, I've always been kind of a geek with computers and stuff like that. And as I said, yeah, it was more of a hobby than a whole YouTube channel. It was, you know, at some point I was recording stuff that was just simply going on. So here I am. This is one of those videos that things are going on. I'm just explaining, you know, kind of trying to explain it in a short way that what's going on. And yeah, it's been a lot going on. And it just, I find it funny that for me at the moment it's much easier just to sit down over here surrounded, you know, by nature, you know, in the countryside, and pretty much like talking to myself. I mean, it feels like this at the moment because, you know, I'm on my own over here talking to a camera, but I know that there are other peeps out there over the other side, you know, over the other side of the cable, and maybe somebody was interested, like, hey, where's DukaDuke? What's going on? We haven't heard in a while from you. So yeah, this is it. Life is not always sweet, isn't it? That's fine.